3 European finals, 1 guaranteed football disaster. Now it's time for part 2. It's Crystal Palace versus Rayo Vallecano in the Conference League Final. I think the most important person in this final is going to be Oliver Glasner. And the most important reason why I say that is he's really done a great job at turning Crystal Palace into who they are today. And he plays a very distinct 3-4-3 formation instead of the standard 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 that you would see in modern football. These two players are what make that formation work, Daichi Kamada and Adam Wharton, and the presence that those two have in midfield is going to be super important for what the outcome of this game is going to be. One thing I will say, Chris Richards, star American center back, he is facing some injury problems and there is some looming concern of whether or not he will be able to start the first couple of games for the World Cup. So personally, as much as I would love to see him play, I think it's better if he sits this one out. That way, he doesn't pick up a big injury before the World Cup and ruin the chances for the United States. But the main battle is going to be that of Jean-Philippe Mateta and Florian Lejeune. And the reason why I think that is because I think Crystal Palace is going to have majority of the ball, and Mateta is just a lethal striker. And it's going to be really important that one of the center backs, especially considering that he is their best performer, really finds a way to make sure that Mateta doesn't get to have his way in the game. Alright, let's take a break. Time for some more European finals trivia. 3 questions, easy, medium, hard. Now, starting easy, who won the very first Conference League title? That should be very easy. Medium, who's the only club to win the Conference League title staying undefeated in every game? Every single game. They didn't lose a single one. Keep that in mind. And hard, what is the largest margin of victory in terms of number of goals in the entire tournament all time? Do you know the answer? Answer down below. Practically speaking, I think this is actually going to be a very interesting matchup for one reason. These two teams play very different formations. As you could see with Crystal Palace, they really like to play that 3-4-3, whereas if you look at Rayo Vallecano, they play a more traditional 4-2-3-1. Two very different philosophies used by both managers. One thing in particular about the 3-4-3 that I will say is the importance of these wide center backs, even this middle center back. Sometimes you'll see this middle center back shift, join the midfield, so that these two can push up to a much higher position like that. Likewise, another thing you might see is these wide center backs right here. They'll receive the ball. For example, let's say Klein receives the ball right here. He'll probably push up with the ball, get to these kind of positions, hoping either for Wharton to be in a position like this or to make that pass right there into Pino. Likewise, you can have Canvo on the other side, make those runs, get into these kind of positions. Kamada could go up, Sar can go up, really find, those passing lanes. In and around this area right here, you could probably see, Canvo pushing up, making those passes. Likewise, a guy like Nathaniel Klein, let's say the ball's over here. You might see Pino go here. You might see Wharton maybe try and find some space either here, maybe here. Make those passes here. Ultimately, with the end goal being to feed Mateta right here. Another very crucial aspect of this formation right here is the use of what we refer to as wing backs. So you have Tyrick Mitchell up here, you have Munoz down here, especially Munoz, who I think is going to be a very important player for Colombia going into the World Cup. He really likes to be in positions like this. So Pino can move in. You might see Mateta here. Let's say they drop back into a more defensive shape. Let's say in an attacking phase with this 3-4-3, let's say Klein has the ball out here, or let's say Adam Wharton has the ball over here. Pino really loves to, operate in this, channel right here. Munoz loves to be out wide here or loves to be in here. This is the area right here where Munoz really loves to have a fun time. He can put dangerous crosses into Mateta, get the ball out here, cross into Mateta, or even have a shot. He really loves to shoot. Maybe a little cut back to Pino. Pino could really feed Mateta. This is where the importance of players like Pino, Munoz, and then on the other side you have guys like Mitchell. Mitchell might push forward. You might see, Bayou sticking onto, let's say, Sar. De Frutos maybe covering Mitchell. And ultimately the goal with these two wing backs is to really take these wingers and push them back. So you might have these two center backs really trying to guard this area. You might have this guy, Chavaria, maybe operating in this area. And worst comes to worst, you'll see a situation like this where Garcia has to drop back. And now, if they need to rotate, they can get the ball, get it all the way back to Klein, and Rayo Vallecano is really pinned in really deep right here. That's ultimately the goal that they're trying to do with this formation, is they're really trying to get what we call like a 3-2-5 shape. So you're gonna have Pino here, you're gonna have Munoz here, Mitchell will be like somewhere here, Sarr will be here. Ultimately, you will be in a position where, you know, you have Wharton and Kamada, which really push up, really try to pin them really deep in. But this is also a major weakness right here with Kamada and Wharton. I'll explain why. As you can see in the midfield, there's a very clear 3-2 advantage for Rayo Vallecano against Crystal Palace, and that is a big disadvantage of the 3-4-3, is you are essentially losing an extra midfielder, like right here with a standard 4-2-3-1, to have an extra center back for a little bit more cover. And ultimately what Crystal Palace are trying to do in build-up is play a pass to Wharton, kick it out to Munoz, or kick it out to Pino, who can then maybe get Munoz, or maybe a pass straight to Mateta. Or if you go the other way, get the ball to Kamada, play it out here to Tyreek Mitchell, who can run onto the ball, or play it to Sarr. It's really quick, direct play. It's not a more, what do you say, possession style game in comparison to, you know, if you're playing like a 4-2-3-1, or if you're playing, let's say, more like a 4-4-2. And you might be wondering, is there a big weakness to this? And the big weakness, in my opinion, is this. Like I said, you have just these two guys in midfield. If you take these two midfielders right here, pin them 1v1 against them, now you have an extra guy right here that you could use to press. You can have the striker just follow the ball. Let's say the ball's here. Garcia can be here. And once that ball gets played out, the only option now is the pass to Pino is pretty much taken off. You can either go to Lacroix, go to Henderson, but in this situation when Klein has the ball, you can even tell Easy, hey, push up on Lacroix. Really give him no room to breathe. The only realistic passing option is to go to Munoz. And once that happens, you can have a guy like Chavaria maybe cheat up, try and close him down. And, you know, Garcia might be here. You know, Alamau's still sticking to Klein. Wharton is still clicking onto Lopez. And now when you look at this, it's like there's not really a good way out of this, and they've got him pretty well pinned in. Which is why it's really going to be important for players like Klein to like move up and hopefully beat that first level of pressure. Because ultimately, when you're playing against a 3-4-3, what you're really trying to close down is these two, the option to pass to these two midfielders. Because if they get the ball, it's really dangerous. They can quickly pop it out wide and they can attack with speed. Likewise, say Rayo Vallecano has the ball. You know, they're probably going to like push up, you know, try and make sure that the back line gets a little, you know, it'll maybe look something like this. You got these guys pushing up, really trying to cover the space. Maybe Munoz would be like right here trying to cut this pass off. You got Tyreek Mitchell right here trying to cut this pass off. This ball, let's say it gets played out to Lejean. Or let's say it goes out to Cease, doesn't matter. Because of the current setup, I feel like it's just so easy to make these passes right here to the wingers. Let's say the ball's over here, you know, you really got that direct path right there. So it's going to be really critical that these guys make the right decision. Alright guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the combined 11. Starting off at goalkeeper, we got Dean Henderson and Danny Cardenas. And I'm not going to lie, I think I'm going to take Danny Cardenas. Dean Henderson, while he is a good goalkeeper, sometimes I feel like he makes some silly mistakes. Anyway, moving on to right back, Daniel Munoz versus Ivan Baliu. And I'm going to be honest, I think this is very easily Daniel Munoz. Moving on to the center backs. Now remember, Crystal Palace play with 3 center backs, whereas Rayo Vallecano only play with 2. I'm only going to pick 2, so I'm going to do a French partnership of Maxence Lacroix and Florian Lejean. And then moving on to left back, it's Tyreek Mitchell and Pep Chavaria. I'm taking Tyreek Mitchell. I think it's an easy choice. Moving into the midfield, and I think Wharton clears Lopez. That's also an easy choice. Likewise, I think Kamada clears Valentin. I think Kamada's going to have a really good World Cup this year for Japan. Now moving into the cam position, I really don't see like a lone number 10 profile that is in the Crystal Palace team. So that, therefore, I'm taking Isi Palazon here. And for left wing, Ismail Sarr, Alvaro Garcia, I'm gonna go Sarr. Right wing, Yeremy Pino, Jorge de Frutos. I think it's very easily Yeremy Pino. And up top, it's a striker battle between Jean-Philippe Mateta and Alemão, and I think Mateta blows him out of the park. So there you have it. That's the final team. And time for a score prediction. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think this game is going to be close. I think Crystal Palace is going to blow Rayo Vallecano out of the park. I think it's going to be a 3-0 win. I think Mateta scores twice. I think Wharton will get the third goal. And yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for watching. I think it's going to be a blowout. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, which is the Champions League Final. Peace!